the most interesting things about this season is that there is a huge war, but every character has its own inside battle. So what's the conflicts of both Aegon and Helena?
God, where do you start?
Where do you begin? Yeah.
For Aegon, it's himself, I think. He's his own worst enemy, and he's his own harshest critic as well. A lot of insecurity, imposter syndrome, self-hatred, but then again, wanting to come up with the goods and wanting to be a king that is respected and seen as powerful and authoritative, and but then again, you know, whether he has the minerals to be able to achieve that, I don't know.
Yeah, that's the question.
Yeah.
I would say for Helena that it's about how do I phrase this? I think that she has just accepted for her whole life up until this season that the sacrifices that she makes of her own comfort, she's happy to do that for her family, or she's happy to do that for her mum, because she knows that's what she needs to do to serve the family. I mean, she's married to her brother. But I think there's a moment in this season where she really, truly, for the first time, starts to reckon with, is it worth it? But how uncomfortable I feel, what I've lost, is it worth it? Or do I need to change something?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I think so.
And about that relation, like you said, you are brothers, you are married to each other, but do you think they know each other? Do they trust each other?
It's interesting because I would say I think they probably do know each other on a level that maybe other people don't.
Yeah.
I just don't think, I think the tragedy is that they can't use that to love each other.
Yeah.
And that's what's really, really sad about it, is that they can't be there for each other when actually they probably have the most in common.
Yeah, it feels to me like they're living parallel lives but in separate universes, kind of, that you can't bridge that gap. They're kind of always a bit further away, and that's purely to do with, well, I don't know what it's to do with actually. It's just a very extreme difference in personality. And,
yeah.
Yeah.
And also I think a little bit sometimes siblings can be slightly turned against each other by their dynamic in the family. Mm-hmm. And maybe they all feel as alone as each other.
Yeah.
And they think they're the most alone one.
Mm-hmm. I think Aegon can access Helena and vice versa.
Yeah, definitely not.
And in the book, in Fire and Blood, one thing that they shared is that they were both dragon riders. So in the first season, we didn't get to see that side of them. But were you excited to explore that? I don't know if in the second season or in the future, but were you excited about that?
Excited about the prospect of it, yeah. We got to see all the others in season 1 ride dragons, so we were like, I'd like a bit of that.
Yeah.
So we'll see if that happens this time.
Yeah.
And I read that Ryan Condal organized like a slideshow of the dragons. I don't know if you were a part of that.
He did what, sorry?
A slideshow, like he showed what dragons were
yes,
with
I do
every
remember
character.
that. Yeah, and the scale of all the sizes next to each other.
Oh, that was right. That's the
Yeah, it was.
wasn't it? Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah, it was like show and tell at school.
Yeah, it was.
So what about that? Do you know which dragons are yours, or you can tell me yet about that?
I know, yours is called...
Mine's Sunfire.
Sunfire, mine's called Dreamfire.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. I can't say anymore.
And a lot of the marketing of this season has been about picking a side. But I don't know if something as nuanced as this, like I said at the beginning, like every character has its own conflicts.
Yeah.
Do you think that the audience is going to sympathize with both sides, or do you already feel like maybe everyone has already picked a side?
I think a lot of people have chosen sides already, haven't they? But the aim of the game, I think, is to make people renegotiate and reconsider their choices.
Yeah. I like to think that in my fantasy, the press campaign sets everybody up with this thing of being like, oh, we've all decided we're all good, or it is that simple. And then maybe when they actually watch the show, they'll realise that it isn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Aegon's not on the throne because he wanted to be.
Yeah.
I'd just like to remind everyone of that.
True, and he made that
He
known.
made it very clear.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they were thrown, both of your characters, in this inherited war. So how do they feel about it? Right? Have they made it their own war, or do they feel like it's something that has been imposed to them?
I think Aegon feels like he is now at the head of this green side of war, at least, and that he will be the person to press the big red button. But you know, that's his interpretation of events. I'm sure the people in the small council will disagree with that.
Yeah.
How does Fia feel about it?
I think that Helene doesn't identify with it being her war, but I do think that something that happens in this show is that it becomes too personal to the characters for them to see any sort of reason through it. It becomes an attack on their on the only things they have, which is their relationships with each other and their, you know, children, their brothers, their everything. And that is when it gets really desperate, because you can kind of strategize in a sort of distant way, but when it's touching the only thing you have, then it's too personal, and that's when people go loco crazy.
Lally.
Yeah.
And about that idea that you were saying before about renegotiate, I mean that maybe people might change the perception of your characters at some point. I think we all know that point after seeing the first episode. So when you first read that moment that we can talk about what it is in the first episode, what was your first reaction?
I think we were all kind of, well, me personally, it was spoken to me a lot about.
It's a hard one to not really go into.
It's
really,
a hard
isn't
one
it?
because I can't really go into it. But what I would say is that it's not something that you can escape, really. People like to tell you about it. So it was sort of, I was like, it's only a matter of time. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Nice to meet you.